assured bonus of 25% year on year for the next 5 years. He said, "You must be joking." I said, "Yeah, but you started it." Here, what we really witnessed was poor negotiation skills. People talked about in the earlier speaking engagement, people talked about managerial ability, communication, leadership ability. It's not just your technical skills alone that's going to take you places. Of course, it is very important. That's your foundation. But as you grow, as you go in this career, there are a lot of other skills that you have to develop. I also have to not just restrict just with some stories, but I also have to give you some statistics because I'm also doing PhD. Because one thing I learned in PhDs, I have to throw some numbers. Always refer to some statistics. The percentage of workforce receiving skilled training, as per the Planning Commission report 2014, this is very interesting. They did the comparison. In Korea, 96% of the population, or at least the workforce, or the potential workforce, received some kind of skills training. That's a staggering number, 96%. Japan, 80%, very close. Germany, 75%. UK, 68%. India, 14%. Which means we have a lot of work to do. So an effort made by DPUT here is a great step in the right direction. Percentage of employers having difficulty in filling positions. I'm from HR, so I have to tell you this. I also, at some point in time, was doing hiring, and it always used to be a nightmare. Japan, 81% of the employees in Japan says they have trouble in filling positions. Brazil, 71%. US, 49%. I actually expected more, it's only 49%. India, very interesting. We still have 48% of the employees struggling. So obviously there is something missing here. We would like to call that skill or employability, whatever you want to call it. Now let's look at the positives. India has the youngest workforce. Interestingly, by 2030, half of India's population will be working, which means this group, this community is going to directly impact our economy. Just imagine, by 2030, half of our population. So feel good, feel happy if the population increases, because 50% of this population by 2030 is going to directly contribute to our economy. This is my best statistic that I found. India has the second highest demographic dividend. Now, what is demographic dividend? If you look at the entire population and try to look at people who can be potentially working for you, from a statistics perspective, it is somebody between 15 years to 59 years. India has the second highest workforce in this category, 15 to 59 years. Now, if I have a proportion that I can compare this vis-a-vis the total population of the country, we are at 18%. The highest is 18.9%, which comes from our neighbor China. And the interesting thing is, our other countries like US, it's 4.1%. There are some countries which are under 1%, 0.3, 0.4, 0.9. So this means we are at the cusp. We are at a very pivotal point for making a significant change in this global economy. There are 2-3 assignments that I have undergone in my earlier assignments, my earlier company, where I interacted with the academy. Now, we call this Industry Academy project. Now, I would just like to summarize 2 or 3 significant best practices based on my experience. Number 1, define the project's strategic context as part of the selection process. When I say selection process, I'm talking about the university or the college that you work with, that you finally identify with. Now, many a times, it's very short-sighted. Now, when you have a long-term and a very clear roadmap, I think you will definitely achieve better results. Most important, second most important in my mind is you have to select 2 good project managers from both ends. One from the academy, who's going to run that program for you, and one from the company, talk the same language. That's the most critical thing. And the third point is build a broad awareness of the project within the company and also within the academia. Many a times, we are only looked at an opportunity to fill or have their placements done. That's a very short-sighted view. Now, if we talk about the skill gap here, there are a lot of interesting anecdotes and facts that were shared earlier. If all that needs to be addressed, I think it's very important that we go beyond our placement scenario and look at a much larger scope. Before I conclude, I just want to tell you 2-3 things that are very important that we have to really understand here. When we are talking about skill development, let's not forget the age and the period that we are now operating in. We have a world full of Generation Y. Now, Generation Y is a weird animal. They think differently. They will never understand what you and I say. I don't know whether I'm qualified, but at least. They only go by logic. They don't go by what and how you did or how your parents did. So you have to attack with logic. And if you don't attack with logic and expect them to follow what you want them to follow, it's never going to happen. So one of the important aspects of Generation Y is when it comes to development, they have a very short attention span. So you will have all the skill development that you can do during a classroom session, or it can be through a web connectivity. You can do a video session. You can have through the web. You can have all the best social media that you can try to make use of to influence them, catch their attention. But one of the most important things for you to develop skills for these kind of workforce, particularly people who are in Generation Y, is you got to do what is known as the current trend, micro learning. Micro learning is very small individual capsules that you give in short bursts of time. Instead of dumping a 5-hour or a 4-hour or a 20-hour session to an individual, if you can do in a very small capsule, delivery mechanism can be anything. It can be face-to-face, it can be through a variety of channels. But if it is shorter, then I think you're going to be very, very effective. So going back to that question, I got the chick. Skill or talent. Now, talent is something that I'm born with. I may be lucky, I may not be lucky. But skill is something that I can always acquire. Now, if I am conscious and if we create between the industry and the academy, if we create a platform, create an environment where people have the access to getting the skills, that still does not guarantee success. The next step is, after acquiring those skills, what is it we are doing to leverage? What is it we are doing to make it different? We keep talking about obsolescence. By the time I finish learning one particular skill, it becomes obsolete because the world is moving so fast. So what is it I'm doing to keep improving every day, every minute? Even after scoring 25, 30, 40 centuries, Sachin Tendulkar never will miss the net practice because he knows there is still something that he has still not achieved perfection. There is still some flaws in his batting, and he goes on trying. So daily improvement is more important than the skills they acquire. And of course, you have to wait. If you have the Generation Y attitude, you cannot succeed. When we do all this, we will achieve what we call success. And with your cooperation, we will definitely achieve success. Thank you, and thank you for giving me this chair.
Thanks, sir. It's really stimulating. And in this August occasion of a joint venture by UQT and Silicon, I'm glad to introduce the audience to Sri Sanjeev Naik, Managing Trustee of Silicon Institute of Technology. Sri Naik holds a BTech in Civil Engineering from BITS Pilani, followed by an MBA from XIMB. He stepped into educational entrepreneurship in 1998 with the establishment of Silicon School of Technology, which took a new shape in 2011 in Silicon Institute of Technology. A prolific orator an immaculate administrator, Sri Naik's approach to education is beyond teaching. So, present you to the hall, Sri Sanjeev Naik.
Good afternoon, everybody,
Good afternoon, sir.
and respected dignitaries on the dais and off the dais. I'm an odd man out here because neither I belong to the industry nor I'm an academic. So, Mr. Arun Selvan was very kind enough to ask me to talk first so that he can conclude. This particular session has been very interesting in the sense we just in Silicon were debating on in 2005 that should we become what's our growth model. So there are two types of growth model, and in 2003-4 you know that the deemed universities came up. I don't know whether they are doomed or they're still deemed, but definitely some of them are really good and they make sense to the country. And subsequently, the board advised us not to get into that race. Let us call ourselves as a college with quality. Let it remain small. So we decided from 2005, not a single seat has been increased in the last 10 years. Single seat of intake has increased in the last 10 years. The idea was that whatever you have, you prove on the quality front. So we started calling a word called boutique engineering college. You have a star hotel, you have a boutique hotel, right? So this is a boutique engineering college. And then we thought that the growth model for us to go is for an autonomous, that be under the university, let the crown be of the university, and you do an excellent job being an affiliated institution. Everybody doesn't have to be deemed. So then we created a white paper, and some portion of the white paper I am interested to share it to you today in very salient points because I am also scared that people will come to me that your time is over. Engineering is a practicing profession, as all of you know, and we all know, because we are engineers. Seldom we talk about labs, and that is the topic, skill lab-based services. So I am trying to mix both of them. When the curriculum board states out the paper, the theory papers, seldom they spend time on labs. What experiments? What is the learning objectives for the labs? Is there one type of a traditional lab that we call it as a experimental lab, instruction-based lab? Now here we come forward to offer this idea to both the industry folks and the academia folks. Please take our findings and points, and if you find that they are useful, let's start implementing them from both sides with a win-win model. We define lab as three different varieties with respect to their objectives. Maybe 70 to 80% may be common, but the learning objectives for these three different labs could be called as educational lab, developmental lab, research lab. Now, I am not going to any specific domain. I am just differentiating them. And in short, I would say that the educational lab is primarily an instruction-based, where a definite number of experiments are conducted, and these are all traditional labs that we have in our syllabus. So definitely we'll have them. What I'm proposing in this August gathering is, what is a development lab? Practicing engineers should go to the development laboratories for two reasons. First, they often need experimental data to guide them in designing and developing a product. We are talking about development. The development laboratory is used to answer specific questions about nature, and most of these answered for design and development process, which can continue. The second reason of determining a development lab is have a design performance, measurement of performances, specifications, which either demonstrate compliances or indicate where, if not how, changes need to be made. And these developmental labs can be done in collaboration with specific industries. Suppose we just talked about that you want to produce mechanical engineer. I do not know whether you will go to the steel industry or an aluminum industry or to an automobile industry. Fine. But definitely we know that if we have a developmental lab where we will go through this process, and a developmental lab cannot have just the faculty, but it needs a mentor from the industry. And the third one is the research lab. And the research lab is different from the developmental lab is because we have a broader knowledge and a generalized system. There is no systems and processes, no defined outcome. The research cannot have a defined outcome, right? And how do we do this in a BQT system? Now here is the proposal. Every institute definitely have, not all good faculties, but some of the faculties are good and experienced. Every institute has some industry interfaces. Now here the university has to ask for a curriculum where there is a proposal of a 3-unit course. Suppose we have in our proposal, we call it electives. And roughly about I know about the BQT syllabus at 6 to 7 electives in each discipline. Now all these electives are theoretical courses. Can we have labs? Now these developmental labs will be developed with a specific objective which will be submitted to the university, and university approves those labs. Because they have the right resource, they have the facilities. And they have an industry interface if at all is required. Similarly, in the research lab is very person specific. It should be a professor who has the research ability, and then the student can spend 1 semester or 2 semesters in that particular course. So he gets a 3 credit or a 6 credit or 7 credits. That's the curriculum people have to decide. Now what I am doing in this is, I have designed, or we have all designed this, and we have created some learning objectives, which is a sheet of paper which talks about what are the fundamental objectives, learning objectives that we should have in these 3 labs. And we share this paper, one to the industry folk and one to the academia folk. That is, what sort of an instrumentation, what sort of models should be there in that lab, what are the experiments to be conducted, what data analysis has to be done, design parameters to be kept in the lab or design facilities to be kept in the lab, what are the creativity part in it, what is the safety part that is required, what is the communication, and what is the model in the teamwork that this lab is going to exhibit or give credits to. And last but not the least is ethics in the lab, where we say that be with the highest ethical standards, that you don't copy it from some published items or you copy it from some other person's notebooks and readings. And these objectives will be given to both the folks in the industry and academia who are interested to develop such developmental labs. And this is not a compulsory thing. This should be part of an elective subject. And why I'm saying emphasis on labs is because through this lab, we might attempt to address the skill option of the development of the person. Here it comes. So now I thought that I'm just arousing that idea in all of you. Maybe I'll share the detailed paper with the Vice Chancellor, who in turn will take it up with the curriculum development team. And also we can also see that we can share this document that we have produced as a white paper on curriculum development and design of labs. And then we get the response from the industry folks, maybe we can able to do this. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. May I now have the opportunity to introduce to the August gathering Mr. N. Velugosalam, Director and CEO of Nectar Technical Training Foundation, Bangalore. Sri Velugosalam is an electronics and telecommunication engineer studied in Indian Engineering College, Chennai, known as Anna University now. He brings with him international training expertise with his extensive assignments in countries like Zimbabwe, Yemen, and Malaysia. Earlier, he was with International Telecommunication Union in Geneva and carried out United Nations sponsored training projects in many countries. He is now based in Bangalore and looks after training operations of NDTF across India. Mr. Arul Selvan, please.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
The topic for this panel under academia integration, the promotion of lab-based services and shoulder sharing. It's a very important topic. Before I go deep into this, I must tell you there is an organization in this country operating for the last 38 years with the full industry academia integration. And NTTF is one organization which was started to give hands-on training. So they thought there must be an industry attached with the whatever training facility we have created. So it is created side by side. There is a production facility, there is a training facility. The students will also work in the production facility, produce and get the hands-on training. Whatever is produced is sold to the industry. So that way NTTF had NTTF Industries and NTTF Training. Now if you are using Maruti car or any two-wheeler, 99% chances are there that you are using some part produced by NTTF Industries, that is through the students, and you are using that. And if you are driving any car where there is a left-right blinker, the wiper control, that we call as the behind the steering there is a small control, and that is made by NTTF. It's an import substitution. There are a lot of things we have done in the past. We made the electronic voting machine, and which we all use for Bharat Electronics. One time we were making black and white TV, and then we were making color TV. And color TV was sold as a TTFT only, many may not be going. And we were making the PCB assembly cards for the C-dot exchanges for all our communication purpose. Even now we are making for ATM cards certain assemblies, and these are all supplied to the ATM makers. Yes. So these kind of facilities can be created within the training facility. You need not have a separate facility. You can have an integrated facility. Today, CNC is getting a lot of attention in the industries. And we have in NTTF 5-axis CNC machine, and that is where we give training. 5-axis. 2 years before, we were talking about 3-axis. 5-axis CNC machine. The machine cost about 1 crore. And that is what the industries will use in future. It is better the training institution should create certain facilities much ahead of the industry and create the workforce so that the industries can introduce the technology. That's the other way. Instead of following the industry, you must set the standards for the industry. That is how the other advanced countries are doing. When I went to Singapore many years before, 20 years before, they had the laser cutting machines. When I asked in Singapore Polytechnic, this machine is available anywhere in the industry, they said no. This is the first machine we imported inside Singapore, and with this, other industries will come and see and get their people trained, and they will use it later. That is the kind of explanation they gave. So we followed this philosophy that you can create certain facilities much ahead of the industry, or at least on par with the industry. So most of the engineering colleges are working in isolation right now. Can we create a paradigm shift in the way we work? AICT says you have to do these things, but it is not telling that you cannot do beyond this. Can we do beyond this? We cannot put blame all the time on AI facilities. This development lab, what Silicon is talking about, is a very nice concept. In NTTF also we have a development lab. We accept orders from industries. They may need one piece to start with, and that is the kind of order we accept. We make that one piece. We accepted an order for Michael Bosch to test this power drilling machine. power drilling machine to be tested before. So they wanted a test jig. So we created one, only one. They tested it in Bangalore facility. They found it very useful. Then they ordered one more. Because it's a test jig, then you don't need big number. They ordered one more. And that one more they exported to Germany. So this is how we can work on this development lab. Lot of innovations we can bring in, and all our teachers need not be only pure teachers. We can have teachers from industries also. In NDTF, we have teachers, about half the number are the teachers with 5-6 years experience minimum from the industry. That is the kind of profile we can have. Instead of depending blindly on PhDs, have some faith in people coming from the industry background. That is what we can do it. PhD may say so many things, but we can deviate from there and still we can create certain kind of change in our present scenario. The lab-based services, whatever we have, all the infrastructure, whatever we have created, we are using only for one shift. We use maximum for 6 hours, 8 hours, whereas the facilities can be used for 24 hours. So we should not think that whatever facility we created should be used for only one shift. So NDTF introduced multi-shift operation. Certain shifts are for training, certain shifts are for production facility. So that way we can work even in our training institution. I am telling few things which are beyond the scope of many of you. Difficult to implement because of our certain conditions and restrictions coming from somewhere else. But you have to break free from all these things, and then only you can have this industry academia integration partially within the institute itself, and then by accepting orders from the industry and doing it inside. Like in Electronic City, we accept orders for PCBs, printed circuit boards, double-side boards, from the industries. They want to do some design work, R&D work, they want only one piece, two pieces to be made. We make it. Then when it is approved, they want 100 pieces to be made. We make it. So that kind of interaction you can always create with the industry. We have certain machines. We have certain mechanical facilities. Industries needs a jig and fixture, only one piece. We can make. That can be a project for our students. Our teacher can guide, and that can be sold to the industry. Industry will be happy. So this is the kind of shared services we can create within the facilities, whatever we have created. It calls for a totally different kind of thinking away from the AICT setup, and it is possible because it is happening. So we need not talk about this industry institute interaction and integration for a long time. I'm hearing this for more than 40 years now, and there is no solution found. And I have found NTTF has found a solution 58 years before. And that is how, when I returned from all my assignments, when I was looking for an institution which can practically rolling out these things and creating the real skill needed for the country, I incidentally happened to trip on NTTF, and that is how I am continuing there. So a lot of NTTFs are needed. To create a lot of NTTFs, all the educational institutions, engineering colleges, polytechnics should be converted a kind of NTTF in the country, because one NTTF cannot do anything. So for that, what you should do, you must create some kind of hand-holding among the like-minded institutions, because small is only beautiful, but small is not powerful. Today, NTTF, because of its presence, we are training 10,000 students. When Nokia wanted to train 16,000 employees for their Chennai plant, and when they asked us to depute some 15 trainers inside for 3 years, we were able to do it. We were able to do it. When now Maruti Suzuki is asking us to do the vendor-related training across the country, in all the states, we are able to roll out that because of the size. So if you are a single institution with some 30 teachers and 20 support staff, you may not be able to do anything. So you need bigger size. So like-minded institutions should join together. Instead of working individually, you must join together, make it big. So this is some kind of strategy all the institutions should follow, because the country is very big. lot of people are needed. People are talking about billions, but we are struggling to give hundreds. Struggling to give hundreds. Sometime before Reliance wanted some 3,000 vendors to put the pipeline from Andhra Pradesh to Gujarat across the country. This country was not able to produce so many welders. Every ITA, when we go and ask, they say 20 or 30. Beyond that, we are not thinking. So the size is important because numbers are more now. They may need big number suddenly, and after that the number also will come down. So we should be able to control our output based on the market conditions. Instead of sticking to these 10 years, same numbers, that is one way it is good. You can also change it. You can reduce it. You need not maintain. You can reduce it. You can close down one discipline, introduce a new discipline. All that is possible. We should do that because the industry is changing all the time. So by having standard working, and it will meet all the needs of the industry all the time. If we think like this, we are living in fool's paradise. We need to correct a lot of things the way we do currently. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. It's really a new insight to industry academic integration. I know it's time to go for lunch, but it will be unjust if we leave the hall without any insight. So a couple of questions is invited. Anybody on the floor, please specify your question. Have a specific question. If it is specified to some panelists, individual panelists, that's better. So anybody who would like to ask a question? Can entertain 2 questions at the best. So please feel free. I know. Yes, so that is a big question. So before we wind up, I would like to request Shri Vidhai Gordhan, Chairman, Governing Body, Shri Himanshu Technology Sambalpur, to felicitate our panelists on the dais. So for that, I request Professor Anita Brahma to assist.
That is how they are planned.
And this is interesting. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And we can break for lunch now. Yes. The lunch will start on the first floor. And it's nice if you could come back in 45 minutes because we are running short of time. So if you could wind up everything and 45 minutes and come back and start the next session, it is really nice. Thank you very much. Have a nice lunch. The lunch will be served in the first floor.